This is the nearsighted ant, and we're going to use this nearsighted ant to help us understand the concept of a limit. This nearsighted ant can only see a millionth of a millimeter in front of itself. It can't see very far at all. It can only see what's right in front of its face. And we're going to use that idea to understand limits. All right, let's take a look at this graph. Most of it's kind of pretty normal. When x equals negative 3, f of x, or y, equals 0. When x equals negative 2, y, or f of x, equals negative 1. You can say y equals 1, or f of x equals 1. When x equals negative 1, y equals 2, and when x equals 0, we can say y equals 3. We could also say f of x equals 3, or we could say f of 0 equals 3. Now, if you don't understand this idea of f of x and all that, immediately let your instructor know we have to do some work on that, because this is going to get a little more complicated in a second. So now let's take a look at here. When x equals 1, things are getting a little bit different. Things are a little weird here. When x equals 1, we know that y equals 2. It doesn't equal 4 because this is an empty circle. This is what y doesn't equal. Y does equal 2. It doesn't equal 4. But we're not going to ask what y equals right now. We're going to ask what y approaches. So now I want you to imagine that nearsighted ant just walking along here. And as it gets closer and closer and closer to 1, to x equals 1, what is it going to think that y is going to equal? Well, if it's walking along here, it's going to think that y is going to equal 4. If it comes from this other side, gets closer to 1, it's going to think that when x gets to 1, that y is going to get to 4. Now, it might not be true, but that's what it thinks is going to happen. What the nearsighted ant thinks is going to happen, that's the limit. So the thing that the function is getting closer and closer to, that's the limit. In this case, the limit as x approaches 1 of f of x is 4. So the limit is 4. But f of 1 equals 2. So the limit is what it's getting closer to, but f of x is what it actually equals.